Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase, pricing, and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we're discussing a timepiece designed in the late 2000s. This example in my hand was sold in 2010. It is the Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Grande Ultra Thin. It is thin and it is large. So broad and flat, you can see that it's a little bit of a glimpse of where JLC was going in the 2010s as the brutality of its 2000s era cases gave way to a more lithe and athletic design with finer, fluid, flowing, organic lines. And so that's exactly what we've got right here. The timepiece is 40 millimeters in diameter by 8.7 millimeters thick, 47.4 from lug tip to lug tip with 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you get a good sense of it. Now this is a Grande ultra thin, but it is not a big watch. I would recommend it for wrists of 15 centimeters circumference or larger. Again, mine is 16. It is flat, maybe not ultra thin, but certainly quite slender, and it will fit underneath any dress cuff. Here's the over the top. Beware that always exaggerates the width of the watch. This is the true angle down the barrel. Lugs are nowhere near the edge of my wrist. Strap, you can see large rectangular scale, symmetrical scale alligator. It's a good cut of the animal. It's slightly glossy black. It's got a sheer cut edge with lacquering for refinement and a monotone stitch. On the bottom, calfskin, you can see it features JLC's pull tab spring bars. You can pop the strap off of the case without resort to a tool. We have JLC's first generation double folding clasp that was introduced back in 2006. You can see that it is friction fit and snaps shut with the JL logo externally. The case is simple. And taking a look at the lugs, they come to a tapered point. There's sort of a soft bevel on their edge that flares as you get closer to the tip. Difficult thing to capture on camera, but it's evident to the eye in person. The case band is very slender, and the case back is set back dramatically, which is part of how this watch manages to come across as ultra thin to the viewer, even though by measurements, caliper-wise, I would say it's more thin than ultra thin. It's that set back case back that causes the watch to sink down and look a lot thinner than it is. The bezel is slightly stepped in from the case band to further visually thin it out, then has a conical profile. We have a JL logo on the crown, push-down crown, although JLC watches, with the exception of some reversos and exceptionally thin pieces, their dress watches are rated to 50 meters, not the dress watch standard of 30. Still don't go swimming with it, but you've got a bit more margin for error. Now, a quick little note here. We have a hacking or stop seconds function, and the small seconds uses a little lancet-style counterweighted rose gold hand with 4 corners in rounded bead-style cabochon, which I absolutely adore. The dial has a lovely, lightly frosted finish, so it has a very gentle eggshell tone and texture, being off-white or cream-colored with that gentle graining. You can see that we have these dart-style applique indices, and because they are faceted, they contrast nicely against the dial base. We also have a polished little dimple-style track-out board for reading the minutes, and then we have 2 sort of elongated, modified Dauphine-style hands. Dauphines are a little shorter, thicker than these. The fact that these pinch at the center where they join, you could say they neck down considerably at their roots. So it's almost like a hybrid of an alpha hand and a Dauphine, but it's a good look. And you can see these hands are half frosted for better contrast against the dial base. Now, if you look carefully on the minute hand, you can see that there's just a little bit of discoloration. So I'll make sure I capture that precisely and accurately, but you can also see that it disappears pretty quickly, so I'll let you decide whether or not that bothers you, but that is one feature of this particular example. It's a minimally branded watch, Jaeger-LeCoultre, and then Swiss-made. They should all be so simple. Turning it over, of course, Jaeger-LeCoultre, the watchmaker's watchmaker, La Grande Maison, an accomplished movement manufacturer since the 19th century. Here we have a in-house caliber. Now this is the latest generation. It's caliber 896, automatic winding. It's got a 40-hour power reserve. It has a stop seconds function. It beats away at 4 hertz, so 8 beats per second. It has a unidirectional winding system with ceramic bearings, the 2 features really optimizing the winding efficiency. We have a 22 karat mass here. Later on, JLC would go away from the 22 karat masses. They do make for a more efficient winder, so I'm happy to see that here. All screws are heat blued, which is a lovely look. We have circular Côte de Genève on the rotor as well as the bridges. And you can see that it's a free sprung balance. So the adjustment is done using variable inertia little screws on the balance rim itself. I will demonstrate those to you now. When you stop the balance, you could see these little screws that project out from the balance rim, and that allows the watchmaker to change the timing without moving the index. The index that holds the stud is fixed. You can see a long-time JLC tradition, they use KIF rather than Inca block shock protection. And so with all the adjustments done by moving these screws in and out, not only can you adjust very precisely, but shock and concussion really don't move those screws the way they could budge a mobile stud index, so that makes the watch a little bit more shock tolerant. You can see the barrel has satination on its cover, as well as on the ratchet wheel. All the wheels, with the exception of the reduction wheels of the winding system, are satinated. The winding system wheels are polished. Then we have some engine turning on the base plate. It's all good looking. Master 1,000 hours control. What does it mean? Well, introduced in 1992, it is a timing standard that involves a 6-position testing of the fully cased up watch for 41.6 days. So COSC is 2 weeks for a 5-position test of a bare movement. A lot changes when you case up a movement. So this is a cased up 6-position test that lasts for 1,000 hours, 41.6 days. So it includes chronometry, yes, but also winding efficiency, power reserve, durability, and water resistance. So it is a very accomplished, comprehensive test of the entire assembled watch, which, lest we forget, is how we wear our timepieces. We don't wear bare movements. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.